These are the tools that we're going to use in the demonstration of our LMR-300 with our new X-Series connectors. This is the CCT-02 cutting tool. This is the CST-300 prep tool. And this is the CT-300/400 crimp tool. First thing we'll do is we'll take our cable, our LMR-300 cable, and actually the first thing we'll do is we'll start by cutting it. In this case, this is already have a nice clean cut, but we want to demonstrate this CCT-02 cutting tool since this is such an important step in the termination of a connector. We take this tool, get 2 or 3 inches back from the end of the cable, apply a little bit of downward pressure, and just spin the tool around the cable. It'll quickly cut through the jacket and the dielectric, scribes the semiconductor and snaps it. What you'll end up with is a cable that's cleanly and squarely cut but has not been crushed. And that's a really important first step to get off on the right foot in terms of the connector termination. At this point, we'll take our adhesive-lined atom shrink boot that's supplied with the connector, slide it over the cable, take our crimp ferrule, slide that over the cable. Now we'll take our CST-300 tool. It has side 1 and side 2, it's labeled. Make sure that switch is popped open on side 1. Pop it over the cable until it stops. You start to push down this thumb switch and spin it at the same time. And once that thing is depressed all the way down, make at least 1 extra revolution, keep it depressed and pull. That'll take that whole pellet right off, cleanly off of that semiconductor of the cable. You flip it around to side 2. You want to make sure it's set for straight. This thumb switch is set for straight. Place it over the cable and you just let the tool do the work. Just spin it freely like an old-fashioned pencil sharpener. You'll feel it spin freely when you cut through all the plastic. You don't have to worry about going too far. It spins freely at that point. Pop it off, and there you go. You get a nice, perfect prep. At this point, you just take the braid wires and just fold them back from the core slightly. No need to comb them out. This Easy Style connector has a spring finger contact. It's a beryllium copper spring finger contact. No soldering. Also, this happens to be a tri-metal plated connector, so excellent corrosion resistance. It's been optimized for VSWR. As you can see, there are a couple ribs in the back of the connector. That is a characteristic of all X-Series connectors. Also, all X-Series connectors are designed with the same exact strip dimensions. So in this case, this happens to be a type N male. But whether this was a TNC, a 7/16 stin, SMA, a right angle, female, as long as it has an X suffix on the end of the part number, it'll work with this tool. So these connectors are designed as a little chamfer in the back end. We'll just get that started over the core of the cable. It's a nice snug fit. We'll push it, comes a little bit of resistance, give it 1 extra push. That's those fingers riding up on the center conductor of the cable. At that point, we just take the ferrule and bring that ferrule up forward, and you'll see those braid wires are right where you need them to be. There's no need to trim them with scissors. They're perfectly designed to be right where they need to be. You'll take the crimp tool at that point, the LMR-300 crimp tool, the smaller of the crimp dies on this tool, and you'll crimp it just once, right at the very back of the connector, as close to the connector as possible, just like so. You'll see there's a little bump there in the back of the ferrule. You leave that just the way it is. If you were to crimp that, you'd crush the jacket, crush the core, change the impedance of the cable, and change the performance of the cable, so you want to leave that. At that point, you would just take your adhesive-lined boot and bring it all the way forward to the back of the coupling nut and take a heat source out in the field, probably be an electric heat gun or a butane-powered heat source, and you'd heat this down to 3-to-1 shrink boot, and you'd want to shrink it until you saw a little lip of glue coming out both sides of this boot. At that point, you got an IP67 seal. The nice thing about these X-Series connectors is because you've taken all the variables out of the process, you've made the strip dimensions, the stripping of the process of the cable, the cutting of the cable, the stripping of the cable, very, very consistent. This is a spring finger contact, so there's no soldering, so all the variables involved in soldering go away. You're going to end up with very consistent results over and over and over again if you were to do a number of these terminations. Thank you very much.